we back.
Hello, everybody. Another episode. We back. Yesterday we had the episode with A. Ray, Villanova Wildcats. Today we're doing a March Madness recap.
Yes, for the first weekend, really, of the tournament.
First round, second round. So as always, welcome to the 9450. Talk all things basketball over here on this side, all unbiased. All right. Shout out to Lolo, shout out to DA, shout out to KDot, our other members for the 9450. We bringing to you brackets and buckets. Me and Chanteé gonna come here today and recap the first two rounds of March Madness. It's been really exciting to watch women's basketball. I've been glued to the TV.
Yes.
And I'm ready for the Sweet 16. So let's get into the first two rounds.
I just want to say that this past weekend, if nobody else knows, because Brittany knows, I don't play with my sleep, right? But every time tournament time come around, I'm willing to lose a couple hours just to see the outcomes of the games. So that's really what this past weekend has really looked like. I know I'm not speaking for just myself. I'm probably speaking on more than half of the people that will be tuned into this. So just piggybacking off what Brittany said, like every conversation around NCAA tournament time has been around women's basketball. I mean, there are people that are tuned into the men, but way more viewership when it comes to the women's side. And today we saw a stat that said for the first two rounds of this year's tournament, it's up 27%. The viewership is up 27% in comparison to last year. So, that just shows and demonstrates how women's basketball is continuing to grow. Mm-hmm. And viewers find it interesting and lit. I mean, these young women have been delivering on that. We've been seeing exciting basketball for the past, week or two. And like Brittany said, now we're in the Sweet 16. And these teams had to scrap it out to get here. And I know that KDot, and again, shouts to KDot, he did a really great job on Jump Ball Study Hall, really talking about, the teams that would be entering tournament time, and talked a little bit about the regions. And, public opinion was talking about how Region 2 was the toughest region. And we've been seeing that play out, right? And so I guess we can get right to who's in the Sweet 16. Britt, do you want to just give a list of just the 16 that are in there before we dive a little deeper?
Yeah. So essentially, let's go through it. So we have Notre Dame, NC State, Indiana, UConn, Stanford, Baylor. Baylor was a surprise to me. We're gonna talk about that. Texas, Oregon State, Colorado. That was Chanté's team at the beginning of the year. I don't know how she feels now.
We're going to get to it.
South Carolina, obviously. LSU, Iowa, Duke. They were also a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
USC, Juju leading them to glory.
Right.
UCLA, and then Gonzaga.
Yeah. So this is an interesting bunch, an exciting bunch. And we can just get into it. The first team you named was Notre Dame, right? In order for them to have gotten to the Sweet 16, they had to beat Kent State, and then they also had to beat Ole Miss. The next team that they're playing is Oregon State. However, Notre Dame, your girl, Citron, that's your girl. She 29 points against Kent State, which is her career high. And then we all know Hannah Hidalgo, just ruthless on both ends of the floor, energy super high. She had a double double. She had 14 points and 11 assists, which was also a career high for her. Um, and like you mentioned, they are clicking. Notre Dame is clicking right now. What's crazy is that they're doing this with literally six healthy players, right? Um, and I'm very interested to see how they continue to play, and for lack of better words, roll the dice as they have to play Oregon State um, on Friday. But before we get to that, shouts to Ole Miss. They had a great season, um, but just came up short. They didn't really have an answer for Hannah. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, Ole Miss. Like we always talk about, Coach Yo. She's a very just an exciting and rising coach in the SEC, and I feel like Da says this all the time. You know, somebody needs to go there. She need a
Yeah,
5-star recruit.
facts.
Okay. Um, she needs a 5-star recruit to get things popping over there at Ole Miss. I don't think she has that firepower yet,
Hmm.
but it seems like she's, doing a great job also developing those players over
Absolutely.
there. You know, I feel like every year she's won more games, especially in like conference play. I believe she was a top 4 seed this year in the SEC. Um, so shout out to Coach Yo. We love what you're doing over there, and we hope that somebody, decides to give you a chance because I think
No,
she's I
absolutely.
think she's a great coach. So
For sure. So yeah, because Notre Dame beat Ole Miss, they're gonna have to see Oregon State. Now, I think Oregon State is probably the most slept on Pac-12 team um, in the tournament. I don't hear a lot of people talking about them. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about them throughout the season, but they're battle tested. You know what I mean? They had to play everybody up in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 wasn't no chump. It was
yeah,
not chump this year at all. Um, and they got some big wins this year, and so they're gonna have to face Talia O'Hoffen, okay? And she finished with 19 points and 8 assists against Nebraska. Nebraska ain't chump either. I believe Nebraska beat Iowa this year.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a spicy game, but Talia, she's a really big guard. She's 5'11". Very interested to see how she kind of competes against, Citron and Hannah when they will meet. And then we have Tamia Gardner who be killing. She's a forward for Oregon State. She ended with 17 points and 17 rebounds. She usually averages around 11 points throughout the season. And then Reagan Beers, huge, big girl, big body, in the paint, and she ended with 10 points and 6 rebounds. I am interested in seeing how she does against Notre Dame as well on Friday.
Yeah, I mean Notre Dame's big three right now: Hannah Hidalgo, Sonia Citron, and Maddie Westbelt. Uh, I mean they clicking on all cylinders. Like I said, last game they all had 15 plus points.
Yep.
Um, and I mean when you got at least 3 players in double figures, you're gonna make a great case to win the game. So they got three people scoring in double figures, so that's great. And then I really think Natalie Marshall is their like X factor.
Yeah.
Essentially, all the things that she does doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet,
Mhm.
but she's down there banging bodies, getting rebounds,
Mhm.
and testing shots. She really is the X factor for me, and I want to see her play well against Oregon State. I think she can be the X factor. give them. She gets the chippy layups when they need it and stuff like that. So I think she's gonna have a good game. She should have a good game for them to advance to the Elite Eight for sure.
Right. Excited to see that.
Right.
So moving on, we have you mentioned NC State. They're heading to the Sweet 16. They beat Tennessee 79-72. Sanaya Rivers. I mean, they got the big three too over at NC State. You got Sanaya Rivers, you got Zoe Brooks, and then you got James. Okay, and Sanaya Rivers against Tennessee was looking more like herself. And she finished with 20 points and 6 rebounds and 3 blocks. But I do also, while we're here, since we're talking about Tennessee, I want to give a shout out to Rakia Jackson. She had a hell of a year, a hell of a career at Tennessee. And furthermore, she gave NC State a 30 piece. I think she ended with like 33 points. Tennessee was fighting throughout the game. They just couldn't close it. I mean, they were down majority of the game, but come third and fourth quarter, you saw some life. They was really trying to make the leap, but they just couldn't finish it out. James, she finished with 22 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds against Tennessee. She's a dog. I don't think she gets spoken about enough. But I am interested to see how she competes when they have to play Stanford. We'll get to Stanford, but I would like to say that she's a killer. I don't think she gets covered enough. And her numbers show that. Like I said, she finished with 22 and 7 assists. And then we got Zoe Brooks, and she finished with 16 points and 6 rebounds against Tennessee. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it was good to see Sanaya Rivers come back into form because she was not having a good ACC tournament at all. She wasn't shooting the ball well, so it was good to see her do her thing and look like herself, as you stated. She came up with a big block at the end to kind of seal the deal for Tennessee. So that was really good to see. And then I like you talked about the big three, but they got a lot of great supporting players on NC State. River Baldwin, she's a big body down low. She finishes. She got soft hands. I really like watching her. Mimi Collins, she's she's a dog too. She could shoot outside 15 foot. She could bang down low. Like she's good.
Right.
So NC State, I think they also too have like a really great, solid team. And it really don't take that much to win. I mean, we seeing Notre Dame, right? You said we're playing with 6 players.
Yeah.
6 healthy players. When I went to the Final Four with my team, it was 10 people on the team, but we literally played 8. Like 8 people, so like next man up. Somebody get injured, next person up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We got a question. I think USC is a bad matchup for South Carolina. What do you think if these two match up?
I agree. I think that's a bad. I don't know. I would have to roll with South Carolina, just based off of their performance against North Carolina. I think that is the most. I don't know. That's the most put together I've seen them all season. Now, granted, they haven't lost a game. We know about their bench. We know that they play very well on both ends of the floor, but the intensity level that they were playing at when they played against North Carolina this past weekend was something we haven't seen before, at least in my opinion. And I believe that if they continue to perform, the way that they did and show up the way that they did on both ends of the floor, like they did against North Carolina, nobody is going to be able to see South Carolina. And I agree with Lauren. South Carolina is head and shoulders above everyone else. I can't see the rest of the comment, but it's true. Yep. And it's going to be even better next season.
Yes.
And
right. Joyce was there. Oh my God. What? You got Pow Pow coming back?
Yeah.
Malaysia, Raven, like
problem. Problem.
Chloe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So I think it would be more of a tougher matchup for USC. But what do you think, Britt?
No, I would have to agree. I don't think USC matches up well against South Carolina. I mean, all they have to do is really stop Juju and Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
And USC is done. Because most of the offense goes through those two. Facts. Essentially. And we seen that lockdown defense the other day. And I was just really flabbergasted North Carolina looked like that. Like,
yo, they look crazy. Let's cut to the chase. Deja Kelly looked nuts. She looked nuts. And the game before that, she was looking nuts. I've never seen her like just throw away the ball, not protect the ball the way that she's been doing. Well, the ways in which she was doing. Right. Like I did the last game against South Carolina and the game before that. I didn't know who that was. I didn't even trust her with the ball. So like that was crazy to watch. Right. And what South Carolina called themselves? The seatbelt gang?
Is that
I heard yes, I heard Malaysia from Wiley was like, we call ourselves the seatbelt gang because essentially the bench gonna come in, they're gonna lock up. They're gonna play defense. And their defense against North Carolina was relentless. Right. And then it translated well into offense. So if they play like that, nobody's seeing them. USC is gonna have a very tough time.
Right. I think we got a question that said, what matchups are we looking forward to in the Sweet 16?
Yeah. Oh, for me, one of them is LSU and UCLA. I'm gonna be honest. I think I think that Angel Reese is gonna have a tough time, and I think Haley Van Lith is also gonna have a tough time.
Haley Van Lith. For me in the Sweet 16, I'm gonna have to say I really want to see NC State Stanford. I want to see Stanford go down. I'm sorry. Yeah, I want to see NC State.
I'm with you, but
Kiki played exceptional the other day against Iowa State. Cameron Brink really didn't show up. Yeah. She got to show up this game, though. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that NC State Stanford game. And I haven't really watched Gonzaga like that.
Same.
So I'm interested to watch Gonzaga versus Texas. Maddie Booker was really in her bag.
They be shooting though. Even though I haven't watched them enough, they got those two twins on Gonzaga that it's lights out. Right. They'll hit the three.
These teams are intimidated and scared of South Carolina with the exception of LSU. Yo, South Carolina is the new UConn.
That's a fact.
I don't see no one beating South Carolina. They're too good. That defense is elite. An amazing job, ladies. Shout out to Ron. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Shout out. Yeah, man.
It's going to be an interesting Sweet 16.
Yeah, let's keep it rolling. Indiana.
Kill.
I'm gonna be honest. This is no shade. I'm not throwing no shade to Indiana, but I really don't like watching them play. I'm sorry. They're like how I used to feel about the Spurs back in the day. Like I didn't want to watch the Spurs. they just boring. But now we got Wemby, so they not boring. Okay,
right.
We got excitement. But Indiana, to get to the Sweet 16, they had to beat Fairfield. Shout out to Fairfield. They had an excellent season this year.
They did.
They were beaten. They beat Rutgers this year. That's what put me on notice.
That's how you knew.
Ooh, they smacked us by about 20 points this season. I was like, oh, they're well coached and disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they had no chance against Indiana in the first round.
Mm-mm.
But the second round game versus Oklahoma, I feel like Oklahoma could have stole the game.
No, they did. They could have. They could have for sure.
Yeah, it was a back and forth game. Oklahoma was in the game. They were pretty much, they could have won this game. They let Indiana come back. Basically, Oklahoma had two very, very huge turnovers at the end.
Facts.
And I was over here embarrassed for them, okay? Embarrassed, okay? I'm sorry, Dan.
My bad.
Yeah. That was my sentiment back in the day. I wasn't feeling them. I wasn't feeling Pop, okay?
Right.
But Oklahoma had two very crucial mistakes at the end when they tried to throw the entry pass to the forward.
Right.
One from the top of the key, girl, it went right through her hands like she had butterfingers.
Yeah, okay? That was it.
I was tight. And then the other one, they tried to throw it to her from the wing, and it did not translate.
Two big turnovers, man.
Yeah. So you know it's corny time. So if you turn over the ball, like Coach Green used to tell us, if y'all have more than 10 turnovers, y'all gonna lose the game. I'm telling y'all right now, if we have double-digit turnovers, you're gonna lose the game because you're giving away the ball more than we're scoring it. Okay,
right.
So tourney time, taking care of the ball is pivotal, and Oklahoma didn't do that, and they let Indiana come and wax that. You know the rest.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Holmes finished with 29 points and 6 rebounds. The big girl, she's good.
Yeah, she is.
She's good.
Great
she's
footwork.
Yeah, right?
Say that again?
She's a senior?
I believe so. I feel like she's been there for mad long. So that's I'm gonna say she's probably a senior. She's an upperclassman for sure.
That's what Indiana will do to you, okay? Yeah, I'm just saying, Indiana, we need a new design. We need a new uniform design. The pinstripes, it's giving very old, like it's giving outdated. Like
it is. Let's
switch it up. Also another bright spot for Indiana, Sarah Parrish. How many threes she hit?
She hit 3. She finished with 17 points and 8 rebounds. At the very beginning of the game, she set the tone, hitting threes early. So she's definitely an X factor too, moving into having to play South Carolina. So yeah, Indiana has to play South Carolina. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for Indiana. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be a very tough matchup for them. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the pace. I think South Carolina, I mean, we're not even about to get into predictions, but yeah. I don't, South Carolina is South Carolina. I guess we can jump to South Carolina.
Let's go.
Since we just connecting the dots. So, first round, South Carolina had to beat Presbyterian. And like we mentioned earlier, in the second round, they demolished North Carolina. I'm thinking it's about to be the Battle of the Carolinas.
Right.
I keep saying that. I keep telling people that.
Yeah.
No. It was as if North Carolina wasn't even they wasn't even a power. Like, y'all North Carolina. It was very intense, very from the start on behalf of South Carolina. They came out really aggressive on defense, and it translated to really aggressive offense. You had Tessa hitting threes. You had Malaysia hitting threes. You had just everything going for South Carolina. I mean, like I said, it was as if North Carolina wasn't even on the floor. Like I mentioned earlier, Deja Kelly had a bad game. I don't think she even got to double digits that game. She wasn't taking care of the ball.
Right.
She was in rare form in a negative way. I haven't seen her perform like that. And yeah, Malaysia Fuwaili, she was a highlight reel for real. Hitting threes, playing defense, stripping everybody. She ended the half with 11 points and 5 rebounds, but ultimately ended the game with 20 points and 9 rebounds and 3 assists and 3 blocks. And she had 4 3-pointers for the night as a freshman.
Coming off the bench.
Like, first of all, you know how hard it is for certain freshmen to put their ego aside?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to put the ego aside for the betterment of the team. And that's why I think South Carolina is such a successful team, because they're not selfish.
Right.
They don't play selfish.
Right.
It's not a facade. Like, all these interviews and stuff where they're talking about team and having some type of sisterhood, it literally shows when they play.
Right.
Egos are not there.
Right.
And that's why they're performing how they're performing. And so, yeah, this was the largest margin of victory over a Power 5 opponent that South Carolina has had all season. And like I mentioned, I don't think anybody's going to be able to beat them. And with that being said, I think Indiana's going to have a tough time playing South Carolina.
They're gonna have to play a damn near perfect game to beat South Carolina.
And that may not be enough, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I don't know. So, all right, let's roll over to your favorite team. You know what I'm saying? Ron said Fuwaili is amazing. She's looking like another Ivory Lotta. Yes, I agree. Put your ego to the wayside as an incoming All-American and stuff. I couldn't do that. As for Deja Kelly, she has work to do. Yes, we've seen crazy tweets about Deja the other day, but I think that if she'll be okay. Deja Kelly never developed the 3-ball. Brittany, I know you want to talk about. That's
a great point. Y-Town's King. I think Deja Kelly's midi game is exceptional, but as of late, it just seems like she's forcing a lot. Like she's not in the flow of a game. Like it just seems like she's trying to do too much. And I agree, she does need to develop that 3-ball. For the next level, to be successful. But we just seen her have a bad game on a big stage. You know? And that's not what we're used to seeing. But she gonna come. She gonna get it right. I think this off season is a big off season for her.
For sure.
Did she declare?
I don't know. I don't think she declared. I think she's in the mock draft. But I don't know if she declared. Right. So we'll have to see. Relationship suit. What about the referee job? And why are they insisting on being the star of the game? Leave it to the players to decide. Nah, that's a fact. I wish Natasha Camby was on here. Shout out to Natasha Camby. She's a D1 referee. And we have these conversations with her often, and she's always talking about, giving grace to these refs. But, I know that Twitter was in a uproar last night when Iowa and West Virginia. Shouts to West Virginia. They play a hell of a game. Played tough on both ends of the floor. I know that we didn't necessarily catch the ending of that game, but looking at the highlights, I could see why, some people were upset. But I agree. The refs should let the players be the star of the games, but people are people. These referees are people.
Right. They make
some mistakes. Of them got not only mistakes, some of them are biased. Like, that's a whole other thing. So
I mean, we just had my brother on yesterday talk about the infamous travel that he had that wasn't a travel.
That wasn't a travel.
You know, so the refs are gonna make mistakes. They're going to shift the momentum of the game sometimes, but we're not talking for the refs, okay? We would love to have Natasha come on and speak for the referees because she's the one. She's our in resident referee,
right?
So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Lauren said, "This is the best competition I've seen in years. Honestly, most of the games have been super competitive. That's a fact. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of like these young ladies getting backlash because of the cursing, because of the fiery energy that they possess. Like that's part of the game. That's what makes this. I was about to curse right now. This is what, but that's what makes it fun, right? Like when Brittany and I played, I feel like there was spice.
All the time. You know, my dad talks about all the time. He talks about the rumble at Roberto Clemente.
Yes.
When we got into it with, so just to give you our background, me and Chanteé are from the Bronx, New York, and we grew up playing AAU ball together. We played at Kips Bay. And the team that we always like was our rivals was Roberto Clemente. And let me
with
just
Tina Charles on the name drop.
We had Tina Charles, right? You had Bianca Murray. She went to Syracuse. Obviously, I know where Tina Charles went. UConn. Right. Marissa Flagg.
Shout out to Marissa.
Shout out to Marissa. Diatima Hill. She went to UMass University. Like, Naomi Jennifer. Like everybody on that team went D1.
Went D1. Okay? It was D2, always
right. Like this one game, I don't know what happened. It was very, very spicy. Going back and forth.
It got crazy in there.
Going back and forth. Our teammate, shout out to Shanae all day. Somebody threw a basketball at her and it was over. Okay, rumbling and tumbling. Okay?
Right. So like we're not pushing for like violence, but we will say that it gets intense. Like
absolutely,
both teams want to win. These young women want to win. So yeah, I agree with Lauren. This is the best competition I've seen in years.
This is the best.
Go ahead, Brittany.
Brittany, yes, I did play at Rutgers under CVS. Like everyone, that passion is part of the game. Absolutely, whether it's men or women. Stop these women from expressing their passion. Let them show. That's a fact. Look, I should have talked more trash. To be honest, I should have talked more trash because these young ladies, they be talking so much trash.
They do. I probably should have too. I played D2 basketball,
and I love it.
They play a lot of. They spicy. We were just talking about how Angel Reese was like, get your money up.
Yeah. She got that NIL bag.
Look what your dad said. He's wilding.
Chanteé was the female Charles Oakley. my dad, he coming to play today.
No, Mr. Ray.
He right though. Chanteé was down there bumping. That's why I got respect for the bigs. Y'all be really bumping down low. I don't want to bump with Lauren Bett. She's 6'7".
This is what I'm saying. I think Angel, but she may get tossed around a bit too, cause she gonna have to see Anissa Morrow too.
Right.
She gonna have to see Anissa.
That's a fact.
And if you want to talk about bumping, you don't want to bump with Anissa.
Yeah.
Because Anissa doesn't get tired. She don't get tired if she runs like a gazelle and she jumps.
Yeah.
Lauren Best, I think Lauren Best may have a little issue too. But let's get back to your favorite team, UConn.
UConn, they only my favorite. Y'all already know I have the disdain of a enemy that's looking for revenge with UConn. But Paige Buckets, that's my girl, okay? So UConn get into the Sweet 16. They had to pull up on Jackson State. right? They did what they needed to do. And I also just wanted to shout out Gino Oriema for shouting out the Jackson State coach and giving her flowers.
Right.
I think that was very kind and very gracious of Gino to, big her up on that platform. They said that they went 18-0 in their conference this year, and that's remarkable.
Yeah.
On any level to win all your games in your conference.
Right.
So they did what they needed to do. Paige had 28. She had a great game. Shot 11 for 19 from the field. Jackson State kept it close early, but UConn eventually pulled away.
Yeah.
So shout outs to Coach Tamika Reed and JSU on having a really, really great season.
Yes. Actually.
But the game I was looking forward to was the UConn versus Syracuse game. Shout outs to Deja Fair. She's fine. She finished third on the all-time scoring list, passing Kelsey Mitchell and Jackie Stiles. Yeah. So, I don't think she has gotten any publicity near the publicity that Caitlin Clark has gotten. But she deserves her flowers. Young lady's a straight hooper.
She is.
Straight bucket. Okay, she didn't have a great game in the first half. She had a terrible shooting game, but in the second half, she kind of turned it up a little bit more. But Deja Fair, salute.
Yeah, salute for putting, the state of New York on your back and playing with some grit and some attitude. It definitely showed, and she has showed that she had ice in her veins on more than one occasion. She's
right.
Definitely a clutch player. Interested to see just what her future's looking like now that she's done and just playing college.
Right.
So yeah, your girl Paige had a good game though.
Yo, she was flirting with a triple double.
She was.
32 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 14 from 25 from the field. That girl was playing.
Paige is looking. She's looking like a killer. Looking like the killer she is.
Straight. She's coming. She's coming for everybody's neck next year, okay? I'm telling y'all, she's coming for everybody's neck next year, okay? AZ, baby girl, I hope you get healthy. I'm looking forward to seeing AZ Fudd and Paige get buckets next year, okay?
Right. White Towns King said Fair had 3 bad possessions at the end of the game. It was hard to see that.
Right.
We were both talking about that on the phone together when that happened. Just shocked that she had those costly turnovers at the end of the game, and that's something we haven't really seen from her throughout the season. So, I agree. It was hard to watch. It was hard to see that.
Yeah, but UConn plays Duke next. I guess we could just jump to Duke.
Let's jump to Duke.
Duke. I'm gonna say Duke was my dark horse. One of the dark horse for this year because I did not expect Duke to beat O State.
Yo, that was a crazy game because Ohio State literally led the entire time. Duke came out playing horrible.
Yes.
Facts. Horrible. Poor shooting selection. Just terrible. Then Celeste Taylor on Ohio State was just rocking them to sleep on defense. Like she was literally everywhere the first half. Celeste Taylor actually transferred from Duke. So I don't think that, got highlighted enough. Just whatever. But nonetheless, she came to ball the first half of that game. Duke was struggling to run plays very early in the game. They just looked out of whack early on. I thought it was going to end in a bloodbath, to be honest.
Right.
first half, Ohio State was getting to the basket very aggressively. J.C. Sheldon, she became the second highest scorer in Ohio State history, so shouts to her. But Reagan Richardson really was the star of the show come second half. Oh, thanks, Lisa.
Right. Thank you.
She said our NY accents and everything. Um, Reagan Richardson, she ended the game with 28.7 rebounds. She had 10 points. Nah, Kyra, she do got them girls balling. But I did not see them coming.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. Like
This was a
I did,
survival blindside.
yeah. Yeah, yes. That's a good comparison, but no, it was definitely a blind side. Definitely didn't have Duke being Ohio State. This was Ohio State's game to take.
Right.
They just stopped being aggressive in the second half. And then Celeste Taylor, she fouled out. So that was a big hit for Ohio State towards the end of the second half. And then Duke ended the half on a 9-0 run, and the score was 32-36. And then after that, it was over. Ohio
Yeah.
State was fighting for their life. They was fighting for their life. Second half.
You know what? I just want to commend Kyra Lawson for what she's doing over there at Duke. Because, like, the clips I see, she don't be sugarcoating nothing for them ladies, okay?
No.
Obviously, we know Kyra Lawson played at Tennessee, played in the WNBA. I believe she won a chip with the Sacramento Monarchs because I believe Chelsea Newton was also on that team. Shout out to Steve,
Yes.
my former coach at Rutgers. She's now the assistant coach at Texas A&M. But Kyra, she's the pedigree. Okay, she played under Pat Summitt,
Right.
so there's a standard that she is used to, and I'm excited to see what she's going to build at Duke. I know next year they got the jumper from Canada coming to Duke. Okay, if y'all didn't know, Kara got Toby Fournier from Canada coming to Duke next season. Okay, this young lady is dunking with ease. Okay, she's skilled. She can shoot. Got the finger roll like George Gervin. Like I'm excited to see this young lady. Okay, but Duke definitely the dark horse. Definitely didn't expect them beating Ohio State the other day. And I'm looking forward to them playing against UConn. I think that's gonna be a good matchup.
I think it may be, and I think that I think a lot of us underestimated them, and I think it will be a great matchup for UConn.
Facts.
Let's talk about Stanford. So as we mentioned earlier, Stanford's going to be playing NC State. That's going to be a great matchup. But before we get to that, Twitter was in an uproar, and all social media platforms was in an uproar because Stanford battled against Iowa State. Now, Iowa State, Audie Crooks, she just came off a 40-point game when they beat Maryland. Maryland had no answer for Audie Crooks at all. I mean, obviously the numbers show or say it or show it, but like watching, these girls was trying to flop. They was trying to get in front of her. Yeah. They couldn't do it. They had no answer for Audie. But I wanted to give a huge shout to Emily Ryan of Iowa State. Because she killed against Stanford. She finished with 36 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. She usually averages a little over 11 points on the season. She showed up. I believe she's also a senior. She just played with a lot more fire versus Stanford, and she put on a show.
She put on the show. I think Addie Brown also put on the show. I was really impressed with Addie Brown. She's another freshman. I think that I kind of overlooked because I was putting all my attention on the Audie, but Addie Brown,
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
girl.
Oh, you said
I'm looking forward to watching you for the next few years at Iowa State. Okay, all right.
They have a bright future. Iowa State has a bright future.
They sure do. They sure do.
Audie Crooks, I'm so interested to see how she comes back after like this summer, how she performs. You know, we talked about this offline just, and shouts to DA, he also mentioned it that he saw like she's in basketball shape. She was getting up and down the floor. She was asking for the ball, you know, on the post. She was just very active. So I'm excited to see her grow. And again, she's only a freshman. Ooh, who has the? I'm leaving that to Brittany because Chloe Kitts is her girl.
Who has the better upside, Addie Brown or
Yeah.
Kitts? That's
Brittany's. Chloe Kitts is Brittany's girl.
Yeah, that is my girl. So I'm trying to see with an unbiased eye right now. I'm gonna have to go with Chloe Kitts. And why I say that is because I feel like Chloe Kitts is just, she is such an X factor, yo. Like her size, obviously you can't teach size, right? And she just has a great feel for the game down low. Like it doesn't really matter what big she's playing with. She can play the high post and adapt.
That's true.
I think I have to watch more of Addie Brown to see, but I've been watching Chloe Kitts, and I think Chloe Kitts has the greater upside because of her. She has more experience and where she's playing at with South Carolina and having more visibility. But Iowa State is up. Addie Brown, she's not too far. She's not too far away. Great question. Thank you.
That's a great question. So let's move over to Baylor. Baylor. They had to play Virginia Tech. Yeah, that's another dark horse for sure. We talked about how Virginia Tech was going to have a tough time because Kitley, her injury. First of all, shouts to Kitley. That's a terrible way to go out. I personally tore my ACL in my junior year. And that was a really tough time for me. So I can only imagine how she feels as a senior, not being able to really be there for her team in the ways in which she wanted to. I mean, during the game, you know, the camera kept panning to her. You know, she looked worried. She looked anxious. She wanted to play, obviously. But yeah, Baylor. I don't even know. Begin. I didn't think that they were going to make it this far. Jada Walker of Baylor finished with 28. Yeah, finished with 28. Came up with a lot of big buckets in the second half and towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
Then we had Sarah Andrews, another guard for Baylor. She finished with 16 points. And then I don't think a lot of people talk about Little Paige Bugs, but during that first half, she was super aggressive. She's a great player as well. She finished with 10 points in 18 minutes and had 4 rebounds. So they play USC next. I personally didn't watch. I didn't keep my eye on Baylor throughout the year. So that's why I say, yeah, I agree with you that they are a dark horse. Did not see them beating Virginia Tech. Shouts to Georgia Amore. She did what she needed to do to keep her team and as close as they can get to Baylor. And then the freshman from Virginia Tech. What's her name?
Strack.
Strack. Freshman. These freshmen. listen, she has a lot of promise.
Yep.
Um, with Kitley being out, she really showed us. She showed up and just stepped up.
Right.
Again, talking about her being a freshman playing on such a big stage, like that could have went all the way left.
Right.
But she came in and did what she needed to do. Had big minutes, played big minutes, provided a lot of value to Virginia Tech that they really needed throughout the game. And her future looks bright as well. I don't know if she'll ultimately stay at Virginia Tech, um, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we also found out that Kenny Brooks is leaving Virginia Tech
Right.
today. The head coach. He will be the head coach at the University of Kentucky moving forward. So, yeah. Strack was doing Kitley better than Kitley.
I mean, that's what people were saying. I'm not gonna lie. Like people were.
Yeah, I mean Strack. So you know how we usually say like, or how I usually say, I'm not gonna put you into this, Chanteé. I usually call Kitley the fadeaway queen because when she's on the block, she likes to fade away and avoid contact. The thing that I seen from Strack, first two games, Strack not ducking no physicality. She's bumping down there. I think that's one thing that Kitley kind of shied from. And I think that she has to get stronger when she goes to the next level, right? I seen Kitley on the mock draft for the first round. She was the number 12 pick. Atlanta Green.
Yeah, it's crazy. More face than a bad haircut. Now that's a bar.
I mean, that's true. That's a fact. That's a fact. So Strack, she's going up strong. And she's also 6'6". So like she looked like a carbon copy of Kitley, but just more physical, essentially. So
facts.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Strack
That's the beautiful thing about about tournament time. Like you get to discover players you never even had your radar on that probably never even seen the floor due to due to uncommon circumstances, i.e. injuries and stuff like that. But shouts to her. Excited to see how she does moving forward. So now we talking about Texas. Now we know Rory Harmon. I know your father was really big on Rory very early in Rory's career. Yeah. She's out again with a torn ACL for the season. But the way that Madison Booker has stepped up as a freshman and has become a leader and a floor general and a point guard for Texas has been amazing to watch. She's just flat out good. Madison Booker is flat out good. She can take you off the dribble. Her midi game is strong. She can shoot the three. What can't she do? She's looking real. She looks real composed and poised out there. Really confident. Again, as a freshman. And she's multidimensional. Like she can play multiple different positions. Just because of just because of everything that she can do. So I think that having Madison Booker there has been amazing for Texas. And yeah, they had to play Alabama, and she ended up with 21 points against Alabama. But I also wanted to give a shout to Moore on Texas. Big girl showed up really big for Texas against Alabama. I don't think she gets spoken about enough either. She finished with 21 and 10 rebounds. I think that was a career high for her. She too had a knee injury. I think a year ago or so, but nonetheless, getting up and down that floor, hustling, rebounding, being aggressive on the block. I think that's going to be really pivotal moving forward for Texas, having those two really work well together. So
Right.
we saw Kevin Durant too. Shouts to Kevin Durant coming and supporting women's basketball. He was at Texas v Alabama. Um,
Yeah.
and Madison Booker, she wears 35. So and that was Brittany's number at Rutgers with like, Kevin Durant too. So like they was just throughout the game, just talking about the comparisons and things of that nature. That was dope to see. And
Yeah.
yeah, um,
Texas.
shouts to Madison Booker. They play Gonzaga. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't like. I think you said earlier, Brittany. Like I didn't pay attention to Gonzaga this year. I know it's been a while since they made it to the Sweet 16. I think it's been since 2015. So it's been a while. However, they do have shooters on that team. Gonzaga played against Utah. I love Alyssa Peely. Um, I think she ended with a 30 piece that night. Um, but yeah, no, it was lights out for Gonzaga. Gonzaga was shooting 48% from the field. Um, They got two twins, the Truong twins. They got Kaylee and Kaylin.
Are those
uh,
the headbands? They
I
went
think so. I
because
think so.
I was looking at. I'm like, why do they both look the
Asian
same?
American.
Okay,
Yeah,
twins.
yeah,
Duh.
yeah. And I think Kaylee ended, or was it Kaylin? No, Kaylee ended with 21 points. The Zags was just wilding on the 3-point line. They hit 12 3-pointers for the game. 12.
Ooh.
12. So
Right.
Texas is gonna have to just play really well, really good defense on the perimeter when facing up against Gonzaga. So I'm also looking forward to seeing them have to face each other within the next few days.
Yeah, Utah. I feel like we've seen the story that came out, right? Like Utah they didn't look like themselves yesterday when I was
Mm-mm,
watching them play. I was
mm-mm.
barely staying up, my eyes was like this trying to watch yesterday, but Utah looked out of sorts.
Yep.
And then we found out today that Utah had an incident at their hotel where they were subjected to racial slurs and just not a great way to enter the game.
No,
Essentially.
but I need the NCAA to talk about that and address that because apparently where they stayed is like the area or that state
Right.
itself. I think it was Idaho. And the racial nasty comments that were made. Apparently, wherever they stayed is well known for being racist, and so I think that the NCAA or I don't know, they just need to do a better job in deciding where these young women stay to protect these players because that was crazy to read.
Right. Okay, I got a question. Hey, Brittany, does Madison Brooks playing point guard with Harmon out help her going forward with her pro career? Absolutely. I absolutely think it shows how versatile she is. I think this is also too right up my alley. My junior year, I had to play point guard. I had to transition to the point guard because Coach Stringer did not feel confident in our freshman point guard at the time
Mm-hmm.
to play. So I had to move over to that role. And that was probably like Haley Van Lith is struggling right now.
Yeah.
We see that. I had a transition period. I wouldn't say I was struggling like how she is, but definitely had an adjustment period.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this totally helps her her stock, and it just shows the scouts that she can be multiple things on the court.
For
Whether you
sure.
need her to be the scorer, the primary ball handler, she can do that. If she needs to play off guard, we've seen that. So I think this definitely adds to her stock. And giving her grace going into her pro career. So thank you for that question, Lisa.
Great question. All right, let's go to Colorado.
This was Chanté's team at the
It
beginning.
was in the beginning of the year. I was like, yo, Colorado's looking tough. Like, they got a great bench. They're big. They had their first major. They gave LSU their first loss. I was like, yo, and I just kept watching them throughout the season. I'm like, yo, they have the potential to get to the Final Four. And then like a month ago, 2 months ago, they just haven't. They've been showing like inconsistencies.
Right.
And then I'm realizing they're not gelling as best as I think they could or can. And then they went on a losing streak and lost to a couple of great teams. I think they lost to Washington and Washington State. Colorado, they still a tough team to me.
Yeah.
And they showed that they were when they played Kansas State. Shouts to Kansas State. That's also a team I had on my radar early in the season. I don't think enough people were covering Kansas State. Shouts to Lee, Aoki Lee on Kansas State. Big girl that gets up and down that floor, who has no problem being aggressive on the block and bumping with you. And then Kansas State just has all these guards that are hella big. They're just huge. 5'10" and up, 5'11" and up. They're just big. And so Kansas State did see Colorado throughout the season. I believe Kansas State did beat Colorado. Again, just Colorado hasn't been as consistent as I would have liked them to be. I was hoping that they would show signs of being that team that they were in the first quarter of this whole season. But they've been like really fighting, I feel like, to get back there. They just haven't been able to do it as of yet. But nonetheless, they're going to see Iowa. And they're going to see Iowa next. And we already know Caitlin Clark. We already know.
Right.
But she's gonna need a supporting cast with Colorado because, like I said, Colorado's bench is deep. Iowa doesn't have a legit bench that could provide the amount of value that Colorado really can bring. Colorado's bench can bring to the floor. So with that being said, Gabby Marshall, she's gonna have to step up. She's gonna have to get in the gym before seeing Colorado to make sure that three is doing what it needs to do. We got Kate Martin on Iowa that's really going to have to show up as well. Kate Martin is, she's an aggressive guard, but she can also shoot the threes. They're going to need her. And then Stuckey on Iowa. She's probably one of the most improved players this season. I would put her on a list if there was such a list. Like, she has shown tremendous growth from her freshman year. Where she was looking a little, and I think me saying a little is me being gracious, but very much out of whack the first year. But that comes with being a freshman, right? And like learning the ropes and getting your footing. And we're starting to see that this season. She's had a 40-point game this year. I'm sure her stats and numbers are up ridiculous in comparison to the last season. She's super athletic. She gets up and down the floor. She's another big that doesn't get tired. Right. And they're going to need her. They're going to need her against Colorado because, like I said, Colorado is huge. They got Von Lay, who's huge in the paint. You got Quay Miller, who not only plays on the block, but she'll shoot the three. She has no problem. But then I don't know if Iowa has an answer for Jalen Sherrod. Hella fast. Right. We call her the floor general. She's getting up and down that floor quickly. Now, what I will say is Iowa likes to play in transition because, to be quite honest, they don't have enough offensive threats to play in the half court. I don't think Iowa wants to play half court ball with you. They want to get out and run. But guess what? So does Colorado. So I don't know how that's going to pan out for Iowa. I personally think, and I'm praying, Colorado beats Iowa. I think Colorado has the tools and the people and the talent to beat Iowa?
Woo-hoo. You know how I feel about Iowa. I feel like Caitlin, she gonna bring it, but the supporting characters, Gabby Marshall, Gabby, you've been doing what you need to do as of late, but I feel like she's been inconsistent
For
this
sure.
year. Kate Martin has been showing up as the splash sister for
I
Caitlin.
like that.
Okay. Kate Markin and then Stokey. Obviously, we see Stokey get 40 plus this year in one game, right? Where she had that real crazy game. So I think this is going to be a great game.
Yeah, it is.
Two teams. Like you said, Colorado is a great team. They had some inconsistencies during the season, but I think those inconsistencies is what helps you in the tournament. Like going through that adversity, essentially, you remember that stuff going into the tourney. Like Colorado has some real good wins this year. I mean, they beat I think they beat USC, right? They beat
Yeah,
USC. I
yeah.
believe.
They beat some really great teams this year.
Yeah,
Again, Pac-12 team.
Pac-12 is
Pac-12
good.
was
Yeah.
talent ridiculous in the Pac-12. The fact that they had to see each other 3+ times is enough for me to know that whatever Pac-12 team is standing right now is battle tested. Just because nobody was chump in that conference, like.
Right.
Lisa said the fact that y'all waited a whole hour to mention Caitlin Clark says a lot. Y'all know y'all players, and the pot is more than the few players mainstream media shows us. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
That means a lot. We appreciate that.
That's a fact. I mean, the pot is very big. There's a lot of women that we watch. And just to talk about this, because I know we got to cover a couple more teams. The transfer portal is bumping right now, y'all. It is jumping, okay? I don't have necessarily the stats for the women, but I think the cumulative stats, there are almost close to 1,000 kids in the portal right now, essentially. And we've been watching kids into the portal, some a little shockingly, essentially. At Rutgers, I was blindsided, okay, when I seen that Jillian Herder entered the transfer portal. She had an amazing freshman year this year, but I don't know. Rutgers was at the bottom of the Big Ten, so sometimes you want to win. You know, you're not willing to wait. But we're seeing a lot of kids into the transfer portal. I'm interested to see what Talia Scott ends up.
Everybody's talking about that. And then homegirl from North Carolina.
Right, Paulina Paris. I was shocked to see Paulina into the transfer portal. She played at UNC last year. So,
and then LSU just picked somebody up.
Yeah, they picked up somebody from Arkansas.
It's gonna be an interesting, it's gonna
interesting.
Okay, very interesting.
The pot is big. Caitlin Clark, she's not the only one. There's so many great players that are playing right now. And that's why this time is so special, because we're seeing so many great players percolate and blossom, and we're growing the game. So Lisa, thank you for that acknowledgement.
Yes,
that really is heartfelt for sure.
I think we literally covered almost everybody. I guess we could talk a little bit about who we consider game changers before we get out of here. I think we've covered some, but maybe to really spotlight who we feel like maybe game changers in these next few games. Like, let's start with Texas. We talked about Texas. Madison Booker. She's gonna have to have a good game. She's gonna have to perform in a consistent manner. in the ways in which she has been in order for Texas to really be in a place to move forward. Flora J. Johnson and Anissa Morrow, um, they are the most consistent players right now for LSU. They've single-handedly been carrying the team. They've been carrying on a consistent level, and I think that those two are going to have to continue to do so. And hopefully, Hanley Van Lift gets on board. Um,
Yeah.
and Angel Reese. I don't know if Lauren's in here, but I know how. It ain't just Lauren. It's all of us. How we feel, how she's. She got some work to do, but
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm interested to see how she shows up. Like I said, when they go against UCLA, that's going to be the game for me. That's going to be very telling for me. Um, Anyone else you want to name as game changers?
Obviously, we seen Jada Walker have an exceptional game, so I'm looking forward to her to continue that. Reagan Richardson on Duke.
Yeah.
She had an exceptional game. If she can do the same thing that she did the other day, I think they have a great chance against UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding?
Mm-mm.
Kiki from Stanford. Y'all seen her get down.
Yeah.
That was her coming out party. Okay?
It was.
I don't think people really understood how good Kiki was until that game.
Mm-hmm.
And she showed that she can take over a game. I mean, Cameron didn't really have a good game that game.
Right.
She had like 8 points and then she fouled out. So, Mackenzie Forbes on USC. We already know what Juju's gonna do.
Right.
So if she can continue to compliment her, I think USC has a chance to get to the Final Four.
Facts.
To be quite honest, I'm mad you got. Hold on, y'all. Chanteé put the entire bench of South Carolina.
Game changers, baby. Yo, they are stacked, man. It's like, damn, I gotta fight 5, and I gotta fight a whole new 5.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm telling you, for me, that North Carolina game was a coming out game for South Carolina as well. And I think I haven't seen them play that intense on both ends of the floor throughout the season. That was the first time. Yes, they've been killing other teams. Like I said, yes, they haven't lost any games, but the level of intensity that they were at against North Carolina was something new. And if they continue that stride and continue to play that way,
right,
it's a scary sight. It is. And so yeah, the whole bench for South Carolina are game changers for me.
Thanks. And you know how I'm rolling with the big 3 from Notre Dame.
Facts.
They keep riding like the 3-headed monster. Notre Dame, they get that for
again. Freshman leading the pack.
Yeah.
Playing with hella heart. So it's contagious.
Look, I'm gonna say this again. I will never forgive my husband. Never forgive him for not coming to get me in the concession stand at Gaucho's gym to watch Hannah Hidalgo. Okay, y'all? We'll never forgive him. She was playing. I was working the concession stand for May Hoops for their Jordan Classic. This was the only girls' game that was playing. And I'm
I think they played Scanlon too.
Yeah, they played Scanlon.
Yeah.
And nobody was making a hoopla about this girl.
Mm-mm.
And I found out after that she beat them. Like, okay, I'm sorry. That's my soapbox.
No, it's cool. No, I mean, we're seeing what we should have seen then, right? But she's
in the doghouse, Lauren. Yes. Yes. I'm telling him this every time I watch her play. I was like, you the one that didn't come relieve me so I could go watch her play. Y'all crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we talked about all other game changes. We're just really excited to see how these young women compete. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
I
I think
think
that's all we have.
I think that's all we have, y'all. Again, thank y'all for tuning in with us for this past hour and 15 minutes. This has been a doozy, but we love it here because
We
we love
do.
all things women's basketball. We love March Madness. This is what we do. Okay. Please follow us on social media on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the 9450 on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Please make sure y'all subscribe. Please make sure y'all checking out our next episode. We got DA and Lolo coming to
Yes.
break down the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. So
Yes.
please check that out. Y'all better
Tap
be
in.
tuning into these games
Tap
Friday,
in.
Saturday. Okay. It's gonna be a lot of great battles. Okay.
Yes.
And we love y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
We'll see
Peace.
y'all. Peace.